All the action now is here. While doctors at Berlin's Charité hospital try to save Alexei Navalny's life, his health has become a political and diplomatic issue. The world is watching. Navalny had been in the Siberian city of Tomsk, talking loudly about corrupt Russian elites and rallying those who might vote against the Russian government.
There will be regional elections coming up in 3 weeks from now. Navalny has developed a highly effective strategy for opposing the ruling party in those elections. It happened last year. The last year was extremely important breakthrough in various regional elections, including in Moscow. That's why Navalny spent so much time in jail last year. And apparently government was very nervous regarding the election that is coming up. Navalny still is a very effective communicator. His YouTube channel, his weekly YouTube show is watched by millions of people. And of course, government didn't want him to be on air in the coming weeks until this election.
The German medics who transported Navalny in this isolation pod obviously did not share the Russian diagnosis of blood pressure problems.
For more, let's bring in Zhanna Nemtsova. She is a former DW journalist and the co-founder of the Boris Nemtsov Foundation for Freedom that's named after her father, the Russian opposition politician who was assassinated in Moscow back in 2015. Zhanna, welcome. You know Alexei Navalny and his family personally, and your father was a close friend of his. Who or what do you think is responsible for what happened to him?
So thank you for inviting me. I'm actually waiting for the results of the tests which are now being conducted in Berlin. And according to the reports from Charité, they're going to reveal some of their findings on Monday. But my personal feeling is that Navalny was poisoned. I think regarding the responsibility, you know that in Russia there are a lot of political prisoners. Putin's critics are being followed. Some of them were killed. My father was killed just 500 meters away from the Kremlin wall. His case has never been solved and will never be solved. Despite all our efforts
I'm sorry to jump in.
This case.
I'm sorry to
Yes.
jump in.
Sure.
You believe Alexei Navalny was poisoned. Who or what do you think poisoned him? Who did it?
I cannot answer this question, but I can say that because Navalny is the most powerful opposition voice in Russia, I think that at least Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, holds political responsibility for his poisoning. And we waited for 2 days before he was transported to Berlin. And I think that high-ranking officials tried to block his transportation to Berlin.
How confident are you that we'll get to the bottom of exactly what happened to Alexei Navalny? After all, you criticised the investigation into your father's killing. You called it an imitation.
So I did not criticize it. It wasn't an investigation because it was not full, it wasn't transparent, and they failed to identify the masterminds of those who killed my father. And moreover, they failed to identify the motive behind my father's assassination. And it was, of course, I'm pretty sure, a politically motivated murder. Regarding Navalny, as far as I know, the Central Investigative Committee is not going to open an investigation into Navalny's case. And it now all depends on Germans' doctors, whether they will be able to find out what substance was used to try to attempt to kill Alexei Navalny.
OK, and we will wait for that diagnosis here in Europe. More than once, we've seen how dangerous it is to speak out in Russia. Is this going to discourage the opposition movement there?
it's different to predict, and we are now all witnessing those massive protests in Belarus. And I think it was one of the reasons why Navalny might be poisoned, because after the presidential elections, we saw massive protests, and despite state-sponsored, very cruel, brutal repression, we are now witnessing on Sunday a big march against Lukashenko, whom I personally regard as former president of Belarus, because he lost the election. So, and I think that those people in the Kremlin, including Vladimir Putin, they're all frightened by this footage from Belarus, and they might think that the same can happen in Russia in the aftermath of any elections. And you know that they are having upcoming elections on the 13th of September, and Alexei Navalny is very active, and he introduced his own tactic of smart vote, it's called in Russia, and it proved to be very effective last year. And I don't think that Russian people are going to be discouraged, because we are witnessing growing discontent with the policies of the Russian government, and especially growing discontent with the fact that Putin is going to be in office for life, as he earlier this year changed the constitution, and now it permits him to stay for life.